I threw my son out after my daughter falsely accused him, then tried to force him to save her. When he refused, I posted on social media to shame him. I never thought I would write something like this, nor that I would end up sitting here alone, with my hands shaking, reviewing every decision I made that night, every word I shouted, every silence I chose to keep. I was 38 years old, my husband 39. 2 children, Daniel, 18, and Valentina, 11. The age difference was big, but I always believed they loved each other, that they took care of each other, that they were close siblings. Daniel was quiet, somewhat reserved. He liked to read, stay in his room, study, but he was a good boy. He never talked back to me, never caused problems, never gave me a single reason to distrust him. Valentina was the complete opposite. Cheerful, energetic, a whirlwind, always moving, always talking. And since I worked part-time and my husband spent long hours away, Daniel often looked after her. He would get out of university and stay with her until I arrived. There were no signs. None. Not a single one. Until that night, it was a family dinner. We had prepared pasta. My sister-in-law brought wine. My nephews were playing in the living room. We were at the table. My husband, my children, me, and a couple of cousins. Nothing strange, nothing out of the ordinary. And then Valentina said it just like that, without drama, without tears, as if she were telling us the neighbor's dog had bitten her. Genio has touched me down there. Just like that, cold, simple, as if she didn't understand the weight of those words. Everything stopped. My cousin stopped talking. My husband looked at me. I looked at my daughter. "What did you say, my love?" I asked, trying to sound gentle, without trembling. That my brother touched me in my private parts twice. I choked on my own breath. No one said anything for a few seconds. Then my husband stood up. His chair fell backward. I followed him as if my legs were moving on their own. I called Daniel, he didn't answer. I called again. This time he answered. "What's wrong, Mom? Come home now." "What happened?" "Come back." He hung up. It took him 20 minutes to get there. He walked through the door with his backpack on his shoulder, confused. What happened? And before he could process anything, my husband pushed him against the wall. Hard. "Did you touch her? Did you touch your sister?" "What? What? What are you talking about?" Daniel didn't understand. I swear. I saw it on his face. He was pale, scared, stuttering, shaking his head. "No, of course not. I would never do that." I don't know why she's saying that, but my husband didn't let him continue. He punched him in the face. Daniel fell to the floor, bleeding from his nose, looking at us with a mix of horror, surprise, and something else, something I had never seen in him, betrayal. I did nothing, I just looked at him. I didn't hug him, I didn't defend him, I didn't believe him. My husband went to his room, grabbed his backpack, some clothes, and his documents. He went outside, threw everything on the porch, and yelled, "For us you are dead. Never come back." Daniel was crying, literally begging. He said he didn't understand, that it wasn't true, that please don't kick him out. And I just stood there hugging Valentina. Not a word. Not a single one. We blocked him from everything. We changed the locks, canceled his university support. He never set foot in that house again. He never called again. He ceased to exist for us. And for weeks we convinced ourselves that we had done the right thing, that we were protecting our daughter. We asked her several times if there was more, if anything else had happened. She said no, just that, twice, nothing more. And we never took her to a psychologist because we assumed that love was enough, because we believed. Without questioning. For a while it seemed that calm was returning. Valentina played, smiled, slept better. I also started sleeping until the nightmares began. I saw Jenny lying on the floor, with blood on his face, with wide eyes, telling me, his mother, and asking me with his gaze, why? Because I didn't ask, I didn't doubt, I just acted, and that was the night I destroyed everything. For months had passed since we kicked Daniel out. For months of silence, of denial, of pretending we had done the right thing. Valentina started smiling again, playing. She even said that she felt safer now. I took it as a sign that we had acted correctly. My husband never mentioned Genio again. If I hinted that I missed him or asked if we knew anything about him, the look he gave me froze me inside. For him, he no longer existed. Until that Saturday arrived. Valentina was on her way to her art class. An older cousin was driving her. It was a quiet afternoon. I was folding clothes when the phone rang. I don't remember much of that call. Only scattered words that still buzz in my ear. Accident, head-on collision, ambulance. One died. The girl is in serious condition. I ran to the hospital with my husband behind me. We arrived as she was being rushed into the emergency room. There was blood, there were screams, there were doctors running everywhere. I saw her pale, unconscious little face, full of tubes. And for an instant the world went silent again. My niece died on impact. Valentina survived, but barely. The diagnosis was clear: severe damage to the left kidney, multiple internal hemorrhages, contusions. She would need emergency surgery and probably a transplant. The doctors told us that time was a critical factor, that we should prepare for the worst. It was days on end in the ICU. I didn't move from her side. I slept in a chair. I refused to eat. I just watched the machines that kept her alive. My husband became a statue. He didn't speak, he didn't cry, he was just there. And then, one night, Valentina opened her eyes. She was weak. She could barely speak, but she recognized me. She barely smiled at me and said, "Mom, do you think there's a heaven?" My throat closed up. "Yes, my love. Of course there is. And do you think bad people can go there if they repent?" "Why do you ask that, honey?" She paused. Her gaze became distant. "Because I did something very bad, something very, very bad." I felt my stomach drop. A few months ago. I lied to you. I lied about Genial. I was frozen. What? What did you lie about? I made it up, Mom. The thing about him touching me wasn't true. I was just angry because he wouldn't let me use his tablet. I wanted to punish him. I thought if I said something. I don't know. I didn't think all of that would happen. Then I got scared and I didn't know how to tell the truth anymore. Her eyes filled with tears. Mine were already overflowing. "I killed my brother," she said between sobs. "And now I'm going to die too." I hugged her as if I could pull her soul into mine. "Don't say that. You're not going to die. I forgive you. I'm here with you." But inside, a crack was splitting me in two. Not for her, for him, for Genial, for his face on the floor, for his silence. That night I went home. I dragged myself like a dying animal. I told my husband everything. He remained silent. He didn't say a single word for minutes. Finally, without looking at me, he muttered, "We're not going to judge her. What's done is done." And he chose to walk away. His indifference hurt me more than his punch that night, but I couldn't take the silence anymore. That same morning I looked for Daniel. His number was disconnected. I searched on social media. I found him. Profile picture with no face, a semi-abandoned account. I wrote to him, "Hi, it's me. Please, just read this." He didn't reply. I waited a day. 2. On the third day I sent him another message. Long, painful. I told him about the accident, about Valentina, about the confession. I told him I didn't expect him to forgive me, that I just wanted him to listen to her, that she wanted to see him, that she probably didn't have much time left, that we weren't asking for anything, just that. Hours later, a reply, "You hurt me too much. I don't know if I can forgive, but if she's as bad as you say, I'll go. One last time." My hands were shaking as I sent him the hospital address. I heard nothing more until 3 days later. I was in the hallway when I saw him. Daniel, thinner, with dark circles under his eyes, simple clothes. He walked as if he were carrying the world on his shoulders. My heart wanted to run to him. My body didn't move. I saw him enter the room. She saw him. He looked at her, and for a moment time stood still. Valentina burst into tears. "I'm sorry. Please. I ruined you. I ruined you." Genial listened in silence. "I can't forgive you completely," he finally said. "But a part of me already has." He took her hand, stayed with her for a few minutes, and left. He didn't greet me, he didn't look at me, he just left a sentence before leaving. If there's a funeral, I'll be there. But don't expect anything else. He didn't reply after that last sentence. Don't expect anything else. Yeno disappeared again. Not a message, not a reaction, just the echo of his voice in that room and Valentina's sobs repeating that she was sorry over and over again, as if asking for forgiveness was enough. But I couldn't sleep anymore because now I knew. I knew that time was running out and that the only person who could save my daughter was the same one I helped destroy. A week after his visit, the doctor confirmed it. She's going to need a transplant. Soon. My husband and I underwent compatibility tests. We were not suitable. Neither of us. Very high risks of rejection. The doctor was direct. A biological brother is the best option. If he turns out to be compatible, the chances are much higher. I already knew. I had seen it in the medical records. They both had the same blood type, O positive. And although everything inside me told me I had no right, I looked for him again. I wrote to him from another number, one he didn't know. I just said, "It's important, please, we need to talk." To my surprise, he agreed. We met in a small, out-of-the-way coffee shop. He was punctual. He came in alone, without looking at anyone. He was carrying a backpack on his shoulder, the same kind of simple clothes. But his eyes were different. They were no longer the eyes of a wounded boy. They were the eyes of someone who had learned to live with the emptiness. He sat across from us. My husband was next to me. No one said anything for several seconds. He broke the silence. "What do you want?" I swallowed. My voice was shaking. "Daniel, we checked the tests. There's a high possibility that you're compatible with Valentina. The doctor says that if you get tested, you could save her." He didn't react. He showed no anger or surprise, just exhaustion. "You're asking me to donate to my sister?" "Yes," I said. My husband intervened. "We know this doesn't erase the past, but it could be the first step to fixing something, to becoming a family again." Daniel looked down. Then he looked at us with surgical coldness. "Become a family again?" I nodded, holding back tears. "We're not asking you to forgive us, just to help her. She's dying." And then he smiled. But it wasn't a happy smile, it was a sad, ironic, incredulous grimace. "And you think this fixes everything?" My husband tensed up. "It's not for us, it's for her." Her, the same one who said I touched her, the one who saw me sleep on the street and didn't lift a finger, the one who only asked for my forgiveness when she realized she might die. I tried to intervene. "Daniel, please. Do you know how many times I thought about dying?" He interrupted. "How many nights I slept hugging my backpack? How many times I didn't eat for 2 days because I didn't have a single coin?" He was looking at us, but he wasn't seeing us. He was talking to his memories. I was about to jump off a bridge, not once, but 3 times. And do you know why I didn't? Because I told myself, if I survive this, then I'm going to live my way. Without owing anything to anyone. He stood up. "And now you come asking me to cut myself in 2, to give a part of myself to save you." My husband stood up too, this time with his fists clenched. "Your sister is dying. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" Jen looked at him with a mix of anger and pity. "Do you know what it tells me? That now it turns out I'm worth something, that now you need me, that now you want to listen to me." I approached, trembling. "Just think about it, please. If not for her, for you, so you can get closure on this." He sighed. "I already got closure. I got it the night I slept on the street with my face full of blood, and you were celebrating Christmas without me." And he left. He didn't scream, he didn't cry, he didn't insult, he just left, and that was the last time I saw him. That night I didn't sleep. My husband paced the living room like a caged lion, muttering things like, "Ungrateful. Selfish. What kind of brother does that?" I heard him, but I didn't contradict him, because in my mind a single phrase kept repeating, "She's dying and he can save her." I felt helpless, empty, and increasingly desperate. So I did the unthinkable. I opened Facebook. I posted a photo of Valentina in the hospital, with tubes, dark circles, her sleeping face fragile, on the edge of the abyss. I wrote a long, honest, but manipulated text. I said that we needed a donor, that her brother was compatible, that we had already apologized, that the girl had asked for forgiveness, that only he was missing. I tagged him, used his full name, and closed with a sentence that condemned him. What kind of monster refuses to save his sister when he has the power to do it? At first it was silent. Then the post exploded. Dozens of reactions, hundreds of comments, first from acquaintances, then from relatives, and then from complete strangers. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone pointed fingers. Everyone judged. Seriously, is he going to let a girl die? A kidney. It's a kidney. You can live with 1 inch. After everything she suffered, it's the least he could do. What kind of human garbage? A life for another, it compensates for the damage. Some people went further, monster disguised as a victim. Anyone with a heart would donate without thinking. Maybe he did do what the girl said and that's why he doesn't want to help. That hurt me more than I expected because even though I knew Yen was innocent, I had once again made him the target. I had unleashed a digital lynching, but in my mind I kept repeating the same thing. If he feels pressured, maybe he'll say yes. A few hours passed. I refreshed the post every 5 minutes, waiting, checking his profile. Nothing. Until almost 4 hours later, he responded. Not with a comment, not with a private message, with a video. A nearly 5-minute video that he posted on his profile and that in less than an hour already had thousands of reactions. It began with him sitting on a bench, an empty park in the background, simple clothes, disheveled hair, deep dark circles, but with a look I no longer recognized. He started like this. Hello, I'm Daniel. Many of you know me from what my mother posted today. Some of you know me from before, others only from what you've read. I want to tell you something I never had the chance to say. He stopped. He took a deep breath. 2 years ago, my sister said I touched her. Without proof, without witnesses. She said it in front of my whole family and, without asking me, without listening to me, they beat me, they kicked me out, they took everything from me. I didn't defend myself. I was 18 years old and in that moment my world fell apart with everything we never said. I slept on the street, I went hungry, I lost my scholarship, I had no one to call. I slept in libraries, I hid in public restrooms to wash myself. I thought about killing myself many times and nobody looked for me, nobody called me, nobody believed me. He showed a recording in the video. It was the conversation with Valentina in the hospital. Her crying, confessing, asking for his forgiveness, saying she made it all up, that she ruined him, that she didn't deserve his forgiveness. Then he looked at us from the camera again. I saved this recording not for revenge, but because I knew that one day someone would try to turn me into the villain again. He paused. His voice broke. I don't wish for my sister to die. Never. But I'm not going to save the people who killed me in life. I'm not going to give them a piece of my body as a currency of redemption. I am not your second chance. He closed with a devastating sentence. I am not a monster. I just learned to say no, and this time I am the one breaking the silence. He cut the video. The end. I just stood there, with the phone in my hand, frozen. The notifications started pouring in, but now the comments were for us. What kind of mother allows that? You are the real monsters. She lies, you attack, and he has to save you. How disgusting. I hope you live with that guilt for the rest of your lives. The private messages were worse. My sister blocked me. My parents called me crying. My sister-in-law wrote to tell me she wished the same would happen to me. And Valentina saw the video. She saw the whole thing. I found her crying alone, curled up in bed. Everyone hates me, she told me. Everyone, even him. I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her, although I no longer knew if I was hugging her out of love or guilt. The video went viral. In less than 24 hours, Daniel's post was in Facebook groups, on Reddit, on TikTok accounts that compiled family confessions, even in Twitter threads where people debated whether or not he should donate the kidney. It was no longer just our story. Now everyone had an opinion. Most were on his side. Some said that forgiving doesn't obligate you to sacrifice yourself, others that a kidney doesn't pay for a ruined life, and many simply said what I could no longer ignore. They deserve it. Valentina, who until a few days ago was just another victim in the hospital, was now seen as a manipulator. A liar. The words false accuser began to appear in the comments. One that pierced me like a dagger was, Let her die. Just like she almost killed her brother. I had to delete the post, but it was too late. The damage was done, and he wasn't finished yet. A day after the first video, he uploaded another one. This time he wasn't speaking from a park. He was sitting at a table with a sheet of paper in his hand. I've received many questions. The most repeated one is, why can't you forgive? I'm going to try to explain it without anesthesia. His voice was calm, tired, precise. I was accused of abusing a child. There was no trial, no evidence, just a sentence spoken aloud, and it was enough. I lost my home, my studies, my name. I became a pariah. No one wanted to get close to me. Have you ever tried to rent a room with the rumor that you abused someone? Have you ever tried to work with a stain that you can't erase, even if it's a lie? He showed a document, his medical record from a year ago, treatment for suicidal ideation, severe depression, malnutrition. The first time I slept under a bridge it was raining. The second night I thought about swallowing all the pills I had. The third, someone spit on me in the street. He yelled at me, abuser. And I had no one to call. He left the document on the table. I don't need you to understand me, I just want you to listen to me. I don't want revenge. I don't wish for my sister's death, but I'm also not going to offer myself up as a martyr for a family that buried me alive. He took a photo. It was of him and Valentina when she was a little girl. They were smiling. His hand was shaking. I loved her. She was my sister. I took care of her breakfast. I changed her clothes. I waited for her after school, and when she said what she said, she not only destroyed my life, she destroyed me. He tore the photo. He was silent for a few seconds. My kidney is not a currency of redemption. I am not the cure for anyone's guilt. I am not going to donate, and I am not going to apologize for it. He closed the video with a sentence that felt like a gunshot. If you look for me at the funeral, I'll be in the back. But not to comfort, just to watch what you built and let die. He turned off the camera. I threw up after watching it. It's not a metaphor. I literally threw up in the hospital bathroom from fear, from guilt, from the reality I could no longer disguise. When I returned to the room, Valentina was awake. Her eyes were swollen. She said nothing, just asked me, "Does he hate me?" I didn't know what to answer, because I myself no longer knew what he felt. I only knew what I had done and what was to come. The doctors told us that her condition was deteriorating, that the days were numbered, that there was no more time to wait for common donors, and that Daniel was still the most compatible candidate. But he had already said it, there would be no donation. That night my husband exploded. Damn selfish, ungrateful bastard. Let him rot where he is. I tried to calm him down. I told him cursing him wouldn't help. And what do you expect me to do? Applaud him for letting his sister die? He locked himself in the kitchen, broke a plate. I sat alone. In silence, I looked at the photos on my phone from when they were children, when they were innocent. And I cried like I had never cried before, because I already knew Valentina was going to die, and it wasn't for lack of a kidney, it was for something much worse, a family's inability to listen, to believe, to love unconditionally. The room smelled of disinfectant and despair. Valentina was unconscious, connected to more machines than body. Her skin was almost translucent. Every time an alarm went off, I held my breath. The doctor would come in, check, adjust something, and leave again with the same face. Containment, not solution, just waiting. The donor list wasn't moving, compatibilities were minimal, the probabilities almost nil. And Daniel no longer answered. After his second video, he disappeared completely, deleted his social media, changed his number, left no trace. Nobody knew where he was, and honestly, I didn't know if I wanted him to be found. Not for his sake, but because I was afraid of what my husband would do if he had him in front of him again. The days passed like slow blades. The hate messages were no longer public, now they were private. Some wrote to wish me strength, others to tell me I deserved every second of suffering. A lady I didn't know sent me a message, "Feel proud now. You raised a daughter who lied and a son you destroyed." The worst part is they aren't even the only ones who paid. I closed my phone. I didn't turn it on again. One morning, the doctor called us aside. The sentence was direct. Prepare yourselves. She's no longer responding. All that's left is to wait for the moment. I went out into the hallway. I slid down the wall to the floor. I didn't cry. I just hugged my knees. My husband said nothing. He was pale. In shock. He wasn't the same man who hit his son that night. He was a broken statue waiting for someone to crush him completely. I went back to the room. I took Valentina's hand and whispered to her, "I'm here, my love. Mom is here." There was no response, just the beep of the heart monitor, stable for now. I closed my eyes and for the first time I prayed. Not to a god, not for a miracle. I prayed for time. A little more. Just a little more. An afternoon later, we received a letter with no return address, no name, just a sheet of paper folded in three. It was from Daniel. "Don't come looking for me. I'm not going to change my mind. I don't wish for her death, but I'm also not going to lend myself to a theater of forced redemption." Valentina lied. You believed her. I was sentenced without a trial, and the only thing I asked for was to be heard. No one did, so don't ask me to give my body now. You already took my soul. They say death redeems, but I died 2 years ago. Her end is not my fault. Her end is the echo of your beginning. I hope you find peace, but don't look for me to find it. There was no signature, just a photo of him smiling from years ago, when he still believed we were his family. Valentina passed away a week later. There were no screams, no alarms, just a flat beep, a straight line on the screen. My husband collapsed. I didn't scream, I didn't cry, I just held her until they took her from my arms. The funeral was small, cold. Most of the relatives distanced themselves, some out of shame, others out of hatred. Nobody knew what to say to us. And Daniel did come. He arrived in silence, sat at the back, didn't cry, didn't look at us, nor did he approach the coffin. At the end he stood up, left a flower, and left without a word. Today I write this from a silent house. My husband no longer speaks. He spends his days watching television with the volume off. I walk through the empty rooms with my daughter's clothes still folded on her bed. Every so often I look at her last photo, where she was still breathing, where she still had a chance, and I think of Daniel, of his words, of his broken gaze, of what we did, of what we didn't do. And I repeat to myself, death does not come alone, it brings with it guilt and memory, and neither of them gets buried. Comment 1. I read your whole story. I was silent and could only think, what a crazy mother. You literally killed him in life, and on top of that you expect him to save you. After you took everything from him, now you ask him for an organ. If I were him, I wouldn't give it to you either. In fact, I'd be in the line of those spitting in your face. I hope his gaze haunts you until your last day. Comment 2. They left him without a home, without food, without emotional support, without a future. And you wanted him to risk his health for you. How can you even ask yourself why he didn't want to donate? The answer is so obvious it hurts, because you killed him first. Comment 3. Your story is the closest thing I've read to a slow murder. Genio died when they threw him out on the street as if he were trash. And now you cry because he didn't want to save the one who lied. Didn't it occur to you that every time he saw his sister he relived the trauma? What nerve. What an ego. What a total lack of humanity. Comment 4. The way you minimize everything you did is terrifying. My husband hit him. It sounds like you're saying, he spilled his coffee. Your son was physically assaulted, thrown out, abandoned, and vilified by everyone. And you tell it as if it were an uncomfortable anecdote. What kind of emotional psychopath are you? Comment 5. Do you know what the worst part of all this was? That your daughter confessed she lied and you still decided to use her tragedy to manipulate your son again. You learned nothing, you just changed tactics. Before it was guilt, then it was fear, then public blackmail. You are the nightmare of any human being with a mother. Comment 6. I refuse to feel sorry for you. You made your son's life impossible. Then you tried to paint him as a monster for not donating a damn kidney. You used him as cannon fodder and, when he said no, you tried to manipulate the entire internet. What a disgrace. What moral baseness. I hope you never have peace. Comment 7. Daniel is a hero for being alive after what you did to him. The one who deserved help was him. The one who urgently needed therapy was him. But you were too busy protecting your parental egos to see that you were destroying him, and even today you continue to blame him. Monstrous. Comment 8. What did you expect? For him to give you the kidney and then you all pose for a reconciled family-type family photo? This isn't a fairy tale. This is real. And in real life, the people you destroy don't come back when it's convenient for you. They don't automatically forgive you. They don't save you just because you bleed crocodile tears. Comment 9. You used his pain as a public weapon. You exposed him with his full name. You humiliated him after having thrown him out on the street. And you wonder why he blocked you. The question should be, how did he not see you? Because he had no shortage of reasons. You are alive by a miracle. And he, sane by a miracle. Comment 10. Valentina didn't die from lack of a kidney. She died because of a lie and because of parents who didn't know how to handle it. The blame isn't Daniel's, it's yours. You killed her with silence, with denial, with manipulation, and now you want to dump the body on him. I don't accept it. I'm not buying that.